Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just finished watching Red Rooms, which is a new psychological thriller which had me at the edge of my seat. This has lived on my For You page on TikTok for so long. You guys have been talking about it. So I finally watched it and I want to let you know what I think. I'm going to give a brief overview of the plot and let you know some theories explaining the ending. So warning, spoilers ahead if you have not seen it. Save this video if you haven't and then come back and let's talk about it. But if you have seen it, let's go over it. Let's talk about it. So first off, this is a Canadian film. It is actually set in Canada, set in Montreal. We never get any movies set in Canada. I mean, there's a lot of movies that are filmed in Canada. Pretty much literally every movie is filmed in Canada, but none of the movies are actually set, and this is set in Montreal. So FYI, it's in French, so if you don't speak French, you are going to have to read subtitles or you can get the movie dubbed. Personally, I like to watch subtitles. I cannot watch a dubbed movie. So the movie starts off with this woman named Kellyanne, and she is sleeping outside the courtroom because she wants a spot in the courtroom for a very high profile case of a man who's accused of murdering 3 young girls. His name is Ludovic. He is accused of unaliving them, filming them, and torturing them. And he is doing this for snuff films, for what people are calling red rooms. So it's people on the dark web who pay money to watch these videos. It seems that this man Ludovic has a type because all 3 of the girls, their blonde hair, blue eyes, come from an affluent family. So it seems like he is targeting girls like that. It is noted that there are 3 girls who have been killed. 2 of them, their snuff films were found, but one of them, Camille, the youngest one, who's 13, the police were not able to find her film, like her snuff film. Now, Kellyanne is a model. She lives in a beautiful high-rise apartment downtown Montreal, and she claims she is good with numbers, so she is an online poker player. So the movie is centered around her point of view. So while Kellyanne is in court, she develops a friendship with someone named Clementine. Now, Clementine is adamant that Ludovic is innocent and that he deserves a fair trial. He doesn't deserve to be treated like this killer that people claim that he is. He needs a trial and that he's innocent. Now, is Clementine a groupie? It is not clear at this point. It does seem like she doesn't really have a lot going on in her life. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have a job. She is from out of town, so she took a bus, I think, or she hitchhiked to get to Montreal, and her world is centered around this case. Kellyanne also notices that she doesn't have anywhere to stay and she doesn't have any money, so she feels sorry for her, so she actually lets Clementine stay at her place. So that's basically like the first half of the movie. Then the second half, they show the 2 snuff films that they have of the 2 murdered girls. They show their videos to the jury, and that's when everything changes. So that day that they go to court, they announce that they're going to show the videos. That the videos are too disturbing to show to the general public, so they have to leave. The family has the option to stay and watch, but they can also leave. So this is when everything changes. And as they're being escorted out, because they're part of Kellyanne and Clementine are part of the public. So as they're being escorted out, Kellyanne reveals to Clementine that she has seen the 2 girls' snuff film. And Clementine's like, why didn't you tell me? And then Kellyanne's like, well, it never came up, which is such a weird thing to say. And then Clementine says, well, I want to watch them. I want to see the videos. And it seems like she wants to do this because she wants to get a look at the killer and to be sure that it isn't Ludovic. It is noted, though, that the killer in the snuff films is wearing a mask, but you can kind of see his body frame and his eyes. So Clementine watches the videos. Kellyanne shows them to her, and it's not said, but as Clementine is watching it, she's like, oh, I think that actually is Ludovic in the videos. So yeah, they watch the videos, and then so it's the next day and they're going to get ready to go to court. So they're like laying out their beds. And then Clementine says to Kellyanne, yeah, I'm going to go back home now. I don't want to do this anymore. I think Clementine gets spooked by Kellyanne. I think she starts putting two and two together. And then Kellyanne's like, okay, well then go. Then Clementine says something to Kellyanne that we as the audience are wondering throughout this whole movie. And she says to Kellyanne, I still don't know why you're here. We know why Clementine's there, but we do not know why Kellyanne is so invested in this case. Why is she there every day? Why is she sleeping outside the courtroom? Why is she so adamant on going to the trials? Like, what is her ties to this case? This is the part of the movie where I start to get uncomfortable with some of the scenes because Kellyanne continues to go to the courtroom. She is sitting beside like Camille, the girl who's dead, her family, like she's sitting beside them and they're looking at her. She's looking at them. People in the courtroom are like looking at her like a weirdo because it is weird because why is she there? And this is like, it kind of reminds me of the feeling of going to a party and you're not invited and people are like, what are you doing here? Like just that uncomfortable feeling. That's the feeling that you get watching these scenes. Then Kellyanne does the most unhinged thing I have ever seen. And she's going to court. She's wearing a blonde wig. And I'm thinking like, okay, she's trying to maybe disguise herself because she's embarrassed that she's like so into this case and it's weird that she's there every single day. No, 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 no. She's wearing a blonde wig. She sits down, she takes off her jacket, and she is wearing Camille's school uniform, like the uniform that she was murdered in. She then starts putting blue contact lenses in her eyes and starts putting braces. She's sitting there looking like essentially like Camille. And this is a very disturbing scene in the movie because, I mean, we don't really know why she's doing it. She's sitting there, and Ludovic, the killer, is sitting in front of her. Of course, she gets escorted out by security. So as she's getting escorted out, Ludovic looks at her and he like says hi. Yeah, this is extremely disturbing, extremely uncomfortable to watch. It's also really disturbing because now we get a better sense of what Kellyanne's intentions are and what she is capable of, and it's pretty messed up. This is when Kellyanne's life just falls apart. Of course, her modeling agency gets wind of what she just did in the courtroom, and they drop her. She is no longer a model, and the final scenes where she's in her house and she has all these monitors, computer monitors, and she's playing poker on one. Then she's in like a chat room which looks like the dark web, and she's trying to like play poker and do something in this chat room. Then we see that she's actually trying to bid on Camille's snuff film. As we know that Camille's film was never found, but obviously someone has it and is selling it on the dark web, and Kellyanne, is trying to buy it. So she's playing poker, trying to win as much money so that she can win the bid for Camille's snuff tape, and it seems like everyone's bidding and bidding, and she's just panicking because she wants to watch Camille's film. So she ends up getting it. She ends up winning at poker, and she ends up watching Camille's snuffed film. She watches Camille being tortured, essayed, and killed. And the final scenes in the movie, Kellyanne ends up breaking into Camille's family's house. She ends up taking a selfie in Camille's room. Then she gives the snuff tape. She leaves a USB snuff film of Camille on Camille's parents' bedstand. She gives her family the film, and yeah, that's where the movie basically ends. And you're left wondering, if you're like me, you're left wondering, what happened? What did I just watch? Well, let's talk about it. So, what was Kellyanne's deal? Like, what was she up to? This is a question that we all have, and this is my opinion. And I think Kellyanne is an extremely disturbed person, and she shares similar qualities with Ludovic in the sense that they are both very blank, very disturbed people. Now, I don't think she is a psychopath. Like, I think that Ludovic is a full blown psychopath. He has no empathy. Uh, but we do see some empathy from Kellyanne because she does offer her place to stay to Clementine. So she has a bit of empathy. But I think she is an extremely disturbed person. I also think that she is a frequent visitor of the dark web and she watches these types of snuff films. She enjoys these types of films. A lot of people are saying, well, she's just, this represents our fascination with true crime. And yeah, I definitely think so. Obviously, she was really obsessed with the case, but I think that this is much deeper than that. I think she is so dark and disturbed. And I don't think that this represents most of us. Like, I don't think most of us would do what Kelly Ann did, even going to the courtroom every day. Like, it's just, most of us would not do that. Now, when I was watching the movie, I remember certain scenes where Kellyanne was, the camera was panning onto Kellyanne, then would go to Camille's family. And you could tell like Kellyanne was like staring at Camille's family as they were walking in, as they were sitting down. Then Kellyanne was also watching people in the courtroom, like people who were involved in the case, and they were watching her. And I'm thinking like, okay, there's something there. Like there's like a connection or something. And that's not the question I had the whole movie. I was like, what is it? Like, what's Kellyanne's connection and why is she so obsessed? But it's literally nothing. She's just really obsessed with the case. She's really obsessed with Camille because she hadn't watched her snuff film. I think she gets off on these things, and maybe the anticipation of the trial was just making her feel like, oh my God, just making her more obsessed. And anything to do with Camille, she was just obsessed with. So this movie brought up a question that I've had, and I've researched this question, and that's, why don't we have any more serial killers? If you like think back to like the 70s, the 80s, like there was just so many serial killers, and nowadays I just don't hear about them. And I'm thinking like, well, why is this? And one of the theories that I feel like I can subscribe to is that there are serial killers out there, but the media does not report on them because they don't want people doing this to become famous. And that's something that I've thought about. I'm like, wow, because people would absolutely do this for fame. And maybe even the obsession of serial killers, like, if you think back to like the Night Stalker, the Ramirez guy, he had groupies in the courtroom. Like they were obsessed with him. I think Charles Manson, he has so many groupies. So many people are obsessed with him. And I just think that there are serial killers today, but if we did report on them, if we gave these people more of a platform, or if we shun any light on them, I just think that's a recipe for disaster. And this movie highlights what could happen. Like, I mean, obviously there's cases out in the media that are disturbing, but just not like how they used to be. There's several theories about why there aren't any serial killers. But this is just one of them, and I can absolutely see that. This movie also brought up another question, or not, it's not necessarily a question, but so for example, Ludovic, he is someone that I absolutely would picture as a serial killer, someone who makes snuff films. Like if I have a vision in my head of someone who would do it, it would be him. But Kellyanne is not someone that I would picture who would consume this or who would have this obsession. She seems to have things going for her. She's a model, she's beautiful, put together, she lives downtown Montreal. Like she's just not someone, she's a woman. Like she's just not someone that I would picture being into this. But we all know humans are very complex. We have all these secrets and desires, and everything is not what it seems like on the outside. You cannot judge someone on the way they look. And this movie just made me realize like, wow, like yes, there are people out there that everything is not what it seems. And even though someone looks put together and is beautiful, they might have weird things going on. Anyways, what do you guys think? Did you guys watch the movie? Did you like it? Uh, I will say, so like this is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it if you're into crime thrillers. But I will say it is extremely disturbing. You don't see any gore, you don't see any blood, nothing like that. But it is very disturbing. Like someone from my mom, she is someone who loves psychological thrillers. She loves crime dramas. I actually would not recommend this movie to her. I just think it's too disturbing. So yeah, it's a great movie, but again, like proceed with caution with this one. But yeah, let me know if you guys watched it, if you liked it. What are your theories? Like, do you think that Kellyanne is normal? Probably not. What do you guys think? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it because I will be posting more videos like this.